We work hard as physicians to take care of the health and well-being of our patients. But when it comes to our money, do we have the same condition of care? Probably not. Let's change that together. Welcome to the Financial Freedom for Physicians podcast, where we'll fight and advocate for your financial literacy. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. Thanks for being here. Let's jump into the show. Hey guys, I want to welcome you guys to the Financial Freedom for Physicians podcast. We've got a great episode this week. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button as well as the notifications bell, and be sure to like, comment, and share if you like this episode, and we'll get into this week's sponsor and show. This week's episode is sponsored by CitiVest. CitiVest has quickly become the most popular and best way for doctors to invest in top-performing real estate private equity funds that are usually reserved for institutional investors. This unique access to investing in these institutional funds is available for the first time ever through CitiVest's easy and secure online investment platform. CitiVest does the hard work of conducting due diligence and vetting the investments. They even get a third-party due diligence report that is posted on their website. As a result of aggregating a several million-dollar investment amount into their access funds, CitiVest gains access to investing in the institutional investment and is able to negotiate better investment terms such as a 12% preferred return. You can check them out at citivest.com or go to the link in the show notes below. Now on to the show. Before we begin today's content, here is a quick disclaimer. The information and material presented here is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as investment advice. The content is not a recommendation to buy or to sell. Some of the content may be for accredited investors only or may be sponsored posts. Every investment carries risks. Results have not been verified, so carefully weigh those risks against your investment goals and objectives and see if acting on the information matches with your investment thesis. Do your due diligence prior to investing, and as always, do not invest more than you can afford to lose. So welcome everybody to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom for Physicians podcast. And I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. And as you know, we talk about 4 different types of freedom: time, financial, location, emotional freedom. And my mission is to bring you guests that are doing things on the cutting edge, very innovative things. And my mission is to empower you, to give you the education information for you to make your decisions towards freedom. So today we have a guest, Steven Lentz, and he is the founder of Oslo Traffic, and he's going to talk to us all about marketing, sales, branding, and coaching. So I'll let him introduce himself. So Steven, welcome.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. It's great to be here. And, I really appreciate people who give back to their community. So just a big thank you to you for helping your fellow physicians. I think that's really great what you're doing.
Yeah. No, we got connected through Podmatch, and it's I found your bio very interesting because a lot of doctors and people need to learn about how to just basic business fundamentals. They're not taught this, and it's a different skill set. So let's get we'll talk about a little bit about your background, your experience, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. So I'm obviously Steven Lentz. I was a professional firefighter for over 10 years. So I had a lot of interaction with ER docs and have a good working relationship with, the dark humor that goes in with that line of work. But no, I had a rocky relationship with my own employment and going back and forth between unemployed and back employed. And I got heavily into marketing and entrepreneurship and learned that, marketing is the lifeblood of a business. It's where all the money comes in, because you can have the best party in the world. By party, I mean website. But if no one ever comes to it, you're essentially invisible, right? And so that invitation is your marketing, whether that's pay-per-click or social media or organic content. So my goal and my focus is to help businesses become the number one with whatever they're doing, wherever they're at organically, because that's what people want and what people look for.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, that's and it's so interesting because you talk about just the uncertainty, the unpredictability of having a job these days, and people are changing jobs and really, I think the concept of job security and stability is more of a industrial age thing, but in today's age, we need to learn how to market ourselves. So what's interesting is that talk about marketing. So marketing that's a very fascinating subject. You could have the best marketing, or actually you could have the best product or service, but you don't have good marketing and sales, and it's going to fail. So let's talk about really what is a market dominating position.
Oh man, a good market dominating position is something that sets you apart from everyone else, right? Something that's unique to you. And it's, off the fly, it's kind of hard. Like my own market dominating position is that I get my clients on the front page of Google immediately. Right? I don't know anyone else who can say that. And not just front page immediately, but organically. Like that's a market dominating position. It's something that I can do. So whether, it's a dentist or a chiropractor or something that, maybe you do things gentler than your competition, or you relieve pain in a certain way, or you know, you treat your patients on an emotional, human connection as well. Like you build relationships, whatever it is that is, like you have to find out what it is about your business and what makes you unique. So it's a very, not everyone can have the same market dominating position. And you want to stay away from things like family owned for 50 years, like, because no one really cares. Right. Like as hard as that is to hear and to, like, it sounds harsh, but 10 years walking in people's homes and telling the truth, like that's how it is. So those little catchy things of, like we only use licensed people, or like if you say, well, I would hope so, right? When you hear that thing, like that's not a good market dominating position.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like we have
That's,
highly trained staff. Well, I would hope you do. Like that's not market dominating. So market domination needs to have something that's unique to you, that's powerful, that speaks to your clients, and is important.
yeah, that's quite interesting because it's like it's like in today's business world, you can have like, base, bare minimum, you have to have, good team, idea, the one that sets the businesses apart are these, what you refer to as, market dominating positions, or, strong brands, strong communities.
Mhm.
So what's so it's interesting because when you talk about, and what was interesting was you talked about organic marketing, and that's where you basically tell the listeners what organic marketing is, and how that's important.
Yeah. So you said we have about like 20-ish minutes, I think. And unfortunately, when I talk with my clients, we go for usually about an hour. We really dive into this conversation. So I'm going to try to give you a really basic overview
Yeah.
that's not too confusing, because internet marketing is really confusing. It just is. There's so many different ways to do it. And I've done just about all of them. And where I've landed is organic content marketing. And we're going to talk about Google and how it works. And we'll see why it's important and why I've ended there, and why I think everyone, especially physicians, should go this route, because it's going to set you apart and it's where all the traffic is. Okay. So you're familiar kind of with Google, right? You've heard of them before. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone goes to Google, right? You have a question. You don't go to Encyclopedia Britannica anymore. You don't go to the library for the Dewey Decimal System. You go to Google. You say, hey, Google, tell me X, right? And the example I could give is, how old is the Queen, right? And when Google first came onto the scene, you type into Google, how many bugs are in Africa? And Google would say, here's 7 websites that will tell you where the bugs are, how many bugs are, whatever it is, right? And Google just give you these sites. And with the advent of Facebook and Instagram, everyone realized that data is the number one currency now, right? It's not just about providing value, because that's what Google was. Google was a value provider. And now they realize that there is money and to value to be gained in the data. And so now when you go to Google and you say, hey, Google, how old's the Queen? Google's going to tell you, right? Google's going to say the Queen's 98 or however old she is. I don't know. but Google will tell you how old she is. And then there'll be drop-down boxes say, do you want to know how old Prince Henry is? Do you want to know where Princess Diana used to live? Do you want, like, it will try to keep you on Google. And that's called the zero click. And 50% of traffic ends in zero clicks, which means someone types in a question to Google, Google answers it, and they don't go away from Google.
Oh.
Right? So Google's stolen half of traffic now that comes into it. Now, aside from that, Google's next basic requirement is to give you solid information, because if they don't satisfy your need, right, if Google can't do it and they don't give you the right content, you will go to someone else, whether that's Bing or Yahoo or DuckDuckGo or whatever it is, you will leave them. So they still want to give you good content because that's how they keep you there. Right. Now, everyone knows if you're like 97% of the population, 97, 95, you're going to skip the sponsored ads that are on top. Right. You'll type in your question, whether it's, looking for a dentist or tooth extraction or, mental health, whatever it is, and there'll be ads on top. And the vast majority of the population skip past that. Now, that's not to say that paid ads don't work, right? Because 3% to 5% of a billion Google searches is still a significant amount of search traffic that goes to paid ads. However, 90% roughly go to the organic content that's on the very first page. So if you're not on the first page of Google, you're pretty much invisible anyway. As long as you're organic, you're going to get the majority of that traffic and the views. Now, being on the first page is great, but you also want to be in the map pack, right? Because there's significant advantage there and buyer psyche that goes into seeing, hey, Google says that these businesses that show up on this map pack are the businesses that they recommend. Right? There's a level of trust that goes there. So map pack is important. Organic listings are important. And then the last part of that is multiple organic listings are important. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is because, again, we look at Google as a trust engine. It's not just a search engine, it's a trust engine, right? Because we trust Google to give us the most reliable sources that we're looking for. Yeah. And so if I have business A, who has one front page listing, and I have business B, who has one front page listing, plus an article from Yahoo Finance, plus an article from Bloomberg on the front page, who do you think is more credible? Business B, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously. And so that is where I've landed with all of my different marketing stuff. Like I've done pay-per-click, I've done social media ads, I've done all the different things, but I've landed in organic content because it has the biggest ROI and it has the biggest credibility and trust factor when it comes to finding clients and patients and any other sort of customer that you're looking for. Yeah. So, and the way that we do that with Ocelot is we create press releases, news articles, blog posts, video for Vimeo and YouTube, audio snippets for podcast directories and an infographic. And then we also do the other side of that, because generally when you have content creation, you have the creation part and you have the distribution part. And you can find a business or go to Fiverr and have some that'll pay, like you'll pay them $2,000 to get an article on Bloomberg. Like that's one article. I'm not joking. Like it's very expensive for a lot of these like high domain authority sites. And a lot of them have different requirements. Like if I want to get my clients on Yahoo, I have to have one, a letter of authorization from them, and two, I need business inclusion documents. Like I have to send them a copy of being like, hey, this is a legitimate business. Like not anyone can just post on Yahoo Finance, right? And that's partly why they have a high domain authority. And so people see this and they're like, oh, this is like SEO. And it's like, well, yes and no. Like there's aspects of it, right? Like there's things about keywords and the way that you write that are important to all the different bots that crawl through and be like, oh, what's relevant. But it's more than that because it's actual content. Because again, going back to what Google wants, Google's goal again is to satisfy the user and to keep the user on the platform. And the way they do that is by consistent, relevant content. I do X and Y for this location, etc. Right. So the stuff that we write for a lot of our new stuff isn't flashy, like, top 10 ways to have a healthier mouth or, whatever it is. It's very newsy because that's one, it's what people want because it's not salesy, right? You go to my website or anyone else's website and guess who they're going to say is the best? Themselves, right? Like we all know that. And that's why we skip those sponsored ads because it's people who are patting themselves on the back. Right. And this is why having those multiple things from other sources on that front page becomes such a powerful, credible source because it's a third party that's saying, hey, check out Dr. Chris. He does X very well at a very high level and he takes care of his people. And someone says, oh, I have these other sites that are saying these things. It's on the front page of Google. Google trusts it. Yeah. Why wouldn't I go to Chris instead of someone else? Like this is a no brainer. Right. And that's where all the power comes from. is visible organic content trumps everything else as far as ROI. And you don't have to worry about the algorithm because again, on-site SEO, right? Everyone's like, oh, well, I have to change this. Then, the Panda patch comes through and it's going to mess up all these things. And like you're worrying, sitting on your site, patting yourself on the back. And what Google really wants is consistent content that's relevant to their users.
Yeah.
And so we're making content that's out there. Like I'm not worried about because it's not on site, right? Like it's what Google wants. So that's my spiel. That's the 30,000 foot overview. But
yeah, I mean, internet marketing has been around, since the early 2000s. So, you can, there's a. We hope you don't mind this brief interruption from one of our affiliates.
Doc2Doc is a personal lending solution designed by doctors for doctors. We understand that doctors' financial situations change faster than an insulin drip in ketoacidosis. And we also understand that doctors are the most reliable borrowers in the world. Through our proprietary algorithm, we're able to provide personal loans at great rates with amazing flexibility because we take into account your schooling, your specialty, and where you are in the medical journey. Doctors come to us after they've matched into residency, and we loan for all sorts of personal reasons, from credit card debt consolidation to family expenses and medical bills. We speak with everyone who applies for a loan and offer fixed interest rates and flexible term options without prepayment penalties. If you're a physician looking for a personal loan, fill out our application form now. It only takes 3 minutes, and we'll get back to you with a decision within 24 hours.
What's interesting is, you talk about one is organic, so you don't have to pay advertisers, it's all like content and create through engagement information. And then also you talk about, leveraging time, attention, and platforms. So, the new oil in today's economy is time, attention, and data and information. So
yeah.
It's I know, so you are actually, so you do, you're an expert in marketing and sales and internet SEO and all of this, and you actually are a coach as well. So I'm really interesting is you do digital marketing, but why do you sell coaching before marketing services?
Because I feel like a lot of people aren't necessarily ready for it, right? Like part of digital marketing is having a really good message. And a lot of people don't have a really good message. But, and again, like I hate saying things like that because it's not nice, right? Like I feel like we're in a culture where nice is important, but I am a firm believer in the truth. And it's like, look, like this is how it is. Like they'll be like, oh, I want to, be the best at this. And it's like, well, that's cool, but you need to understand yourself better. So that way you know how to talk about yourself.
Yeah.
And like, let's get you dialed in that way. But I mean, with what I do with the organic content, I like to joke about this. I have two offerings, if you will. I'm blanking on the name for it, so I'll call them offerings. One is normal campaigns, and the other is really expensive campaigns. And that's the joke because everything's expensive. But like that's how it is, though. Is that's like, I don't want necessarily you to spend the big money to get the great results and do really well if you're not ready to receive those people. Right? Like I can make you look really good and put you on the front page, but if your receptionist is terrible and people are calling in and you're losing everyone that comes to you, or your website's not ready, like if you're not ready for them, then it's not going to be right for you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it is. Coaching usually comes first, just to make sure that they're ready for it. But when I talk with people, when they're like, hey, like I want to get ready with marketing, we'll see like, oh, well, are you ready for it? And if they are, then you don't necessarily have to have that. But I think it's important to be ready to have an influx of customers and clients and be able to handle that.
Yeah. That's the other thing is, and I know we're coming close on time. The other thing is, it was interesting is that you talk about how hard work and working hard are not necessarily the same. What does that mean from a coach's perspective?
Yeah. Working hard, it's really easy to get bogged down in the minutia. It's really easy to fill your day doing lots of little things that feel important and make you busy. You can work really hard and not do actual hard work. Like I can spend 5 hours being like, I need to make a logo and get the colors just right and redo this website and make it like a catchy slogan and all. Like, I'm being busy, but I'm not actually doing work that moves the needle in my business. I've never met anyone who said, I decided to go with this company over that one because their color scheme was a little bit better, or they had a logo, right? But we agonize over these types of details. And so really that's that differential. Is like the hard work is the stuff that really is important and it matters. And working hard is just getting bogged down in that minutia.
Okay.
Like it's not, they're not the same. So that's the the quick saying.
Yeah. You've actually what I've been actually interesting is how did being a firefighter and actually growing up in the military, how did that shape your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you sort of put close to time, so I'll try to make this really quick because this is a longer story, right? But I was not an entrepreneur at all before joining the fire service. And I was a firefighter for approximately 1.5 to 2 years before my department ran out of money and said, sorry, but you and another guy have to go because we don't have money for you. And that completely shattered my idea of job security, right? Like the pseudo government job, like whoever here is a firefighter is being out of work. Right? Just ridiculous. And so I was almost immediately hired on with another department, and a 1.5 years later I was in the same boat again. I was out for another 2 years and I was like, what is going on? Like, this is crazy. And so I got into everything I could think of. I did fix and flip real estate. I did selling vacuums door to door for a hot moment with Kirby. I sold life insurance over the phone. Like I did everything I could think of. One, because I'm not a victim. I have a wife and a kid. I'm going to take care of them. And two, because that's the type of person I am, I guess. Right? It's just like action needs to happen. And I'm going to provide for my family. And so within that, I decided that I need to take over my own destiny. And the way to do that is to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. I don't need to rely on someone else for a paycheck. And so from within there, I did a bunch of things, saw a lot of things fail. And it's like, oh, I need to get the basics down. I need to dial in my marketing. Like I've realized through failure, like where the path to success is. And like being blind and having like 30 knobs on a door and only one of them opens, like eventually you're going to get there. And that's kind of, how it worked. And so going into here, it's like now I'm very good at what I do. I get my clients immediately up into the Googler. I call it Googler because I think it's funny. But like that's the results, is that we get my clients where they need to be and at the top of their game. And so that's the long story of how I became an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I love that. Most, like, after interviewing like so many successful entrepreneurs, and it's just like, being an entrepreneur allows you to take control of your time and your income, and give you more say in your destiny and where things go. And so I think a lot of people, they with the system, corporate environment here, they being an entrepreneur is much better. So I'm sure this has been a fascinating discussion. I really enjoyed it. I love talking to people just outside of my niche and just getting so many different viewpoints. How can people contact you? Work with you, visit your website, and tell us more.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you my email. It's the number 1 and then my first and last name, because I like to make it easy for people to find me. So onestephenlentz@gmail.com. But you can go to my website. It's Ocelot, OCELOT, and Traffic, TRAFFIC.com. Right. So it's 2 T's there next to each other, ocelottraffic.com. And then and that's for my marketing. And the last thing that I want to share with all your listeners, especially everyone who's owns a business or a practice, there's a thing called the ERTC that's going on right now. It's been going on for the last, I think, like 1.5 years, roughly. It's a new addition to the PPP loans.
Okay.
And this is different because you don't have to pay them back. And this money can be used for anything. It's not just like employee salary.
Yeah.
So super important there. And you can get up to 26 grand per W-2 employee that you have. Mm-hmm. So like there's one restaurant that just got over 2 million. They have like 7 locations and a bunch of staff. And so it's this massive thing, and it's only going on for the next couple of years. So there's I think it's 2025 is when it closes.
Okay.
So I I've found a group of CPAs that are helping people with it. My wife, actually, we have a zero waste grocery store in Kirkland, Washington, and she's getting, I think, somewhere between like 70 to 80 grand back, and she only has a couple employees. So I want everyone who has W-2 employees to know like this program is out there. And the website that I recommend, that I know the people, is ertcmoneyfast.com. So it's super easy. It takes like 6 minutes to fill in a 6-question thing or 10-question thing. It's like, do you have W-2 employees? Were you impacted by COVID? Blah, blah, blah. Like all the things that you should know off the top of your head. And then they'll get in touch with you. And then it takes maybe 30 minutes of your time to gather the documents, right? Like you email your CPA to be like, hey, I need the payroll books and like these other things, send it to them. And they take care of everything else. So as far as like money making, move the needle things in your business, this is the highest ROI that you're going to be able to do. Because you can get, hundreds of thousands of dollars for 30 minutes of your time.
Yeah.
So, ertcmoneyfast.com is a huge deal right now for anyone who has W-2 staff.
Okay.
And Ocelot traffic for your marketing. If you are ready to handle more clients and looking to grow, always happy to help.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, for all the listeners, all of Steven's resources will be in the links in the show notes. And Steven, thanks so much. And we look forward to hearing about your future successes.
Chris, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
What a fantastic show. I hope you enjoyed our very special guest. Just remember, as a shout out to our this week's sponsor, CityVest.com. CityVest gives you access to the best real estate private equity funds with enhanced investment terms, verified due diligence, and lower risk. You can check them out at cityvest.com or click on the link in the show notes below to hear about their upcoming investment offerings. If you enjoyed that episode, don't forget, that's just the free content. We also have paid premium content subscription with better guests, information, updates, and discussions that can't be accessed anywhere else. You can subscribe to our premium content by clicking on the link in the show notes below to subscribe. Just a quick note, members who sign up for the bottom floor price introductory the first year will be grandfathered into that price for life. I expect the monthly subscription amount to increase quickly next year and the year after, so don't delay. I'm excited that you made it for another episode. You are truly the best. If you've been following the show for a while, you know that my passion is to bring you the education you need to find your path to financial freedom. Please come back week after week for new content, new resources, and great guests. Until then, if you haven't already, please be sure to check out the website, www.drchrislewmdphd.com for more support. I'll see you next week.